Alright, what's up guys, Single Player Nacho here, and these are some of the scariest rooms and locations found in the Resident Evil series Part 3. These games are infamous for not knowing what the hell you're going to find when you open a door, and 9 times out of 10, it's something extremely unpleasant that would like to regurgitate you. That dark, eerie feeling is present at these locations. You just know you're in the presence of something horrible. Without further ado, let's get to it. Resident Evil Outbreak has so many rooms, even for an RE game. You can pretty much take your pick here when it comes to creepy rooms. The Hive scenario introduces us to Dr. Hirsch, who gives us a fair warning about the hospital we've just arrived at.
Please do not be alarmed. I'm a doctor in this hospital. I must say that this hospital is not an ideal place to take shelter.
Making your way through this damp and destroyed building, there are signs of a BOW-infested massacre. Enter room 302, and you'll be greeted by a scary, flickering light. Okay, no biggie. Happens in every horror game. Investigate the lockers at the back end of the room, and this happens. A leech monster enters through the vents, making your survival rate much smaller. Worse yet, it blocks the path to the exit, so the leech monster will undoubtedly take a couple of chunks out of you. Every corpse in the hospital fell victim to these things, so it's a scary experience to essentially be stuck in a dark room with the culprit. Running away is the best option. RE0 has one of the scariest intros in not only Resident Evil games but gaming in general. The zombies found on the Ecliptic Express are especially crisp, mutilated beyond all recognition. The humanity in these monsters is long gone. They just pop up right in front of you within the first sequence. When the action has died down, pun intended, you'll start to take in the ambiance for what it is, and the strewn-on corpses that are still found near their seats is truly terrifying. As you open the door to cabin 202, the scratched-up wooden surface on the walls gives you an idea of what you'll see in the next screen. And there it is, a corpse of yet another victim. There's something about entering this particular cabin. You can kinda see or take a guess at what happened to this guy in his final moments. Wine bottles, luggage, and clothes all thrown around in a frenzy. Examine the body and Rebecca assumes this guy was murdered by the leeches in his sleep. What a way to go. Investigate the diary on your left, and it details this passenger's worries about heading into the Arklay Mountains just around the same time when murders and disappearances have been reported. In retrospect, his fears were very much justified, as he'd suffer the same fates. This cabin is also scary as hell due to the unalarming rain sounds in the distance, like we're supposed to be calm in this situation. In short, this is an amazing bit of horror. Speaking of crazy intros, the introduction to the surveillance room in Code Veronica kicks off with a bang. A headbang, that is. Opening the gate to this certified creep room greets you with the corpses of 2 officers. There is already the off-putting knowledge of, well, knowing that these 2 now dead guys might have been watching you this entire time. Examine the giant TV screen feed, and it just gets worse. You can move the angle of the surveillance cam in another location, which features a decaying lab technician. Who knows what happened to this person? What can possibly make this feed even creepier? A nondescript painting of a skeleton pirate with an ominous red sky in the background. Thankfully, there's an explanation for this hellish art piece, as it contains a code to be used later in the game. Log off, and those 2 dead officers will come at you at full zombie force. They might have gotten pissed that you were doing their jobs for them. And that's the thing about this place, a fully operational bird's eye view of the atrocities committed in Rockford Island. Having a tiny perspective of what it's like to be these evil masterminds and what they look out for. You ever wonder what a zombie kitchen would look like? I think this one pretty much nails it. The kitchen in the Spencer Mansion was always going to be a horrid place, but add a couple of zombies to it, and it is genuinely a scary location. These things seem to have taken over the menu, and their creations are on full display here. It's heavily implied that the meat on the counter is human meat, a disgusting reminder that zombies are crazy-ass cannibals, but they're slow and adorable. Now, I don't think that the zombies are actually cooking stuff down here, and maybe the developers just wanted to poke fun at the idea. Still, things are pretty dark down here. I mean, the entrance to the kitchen itself is pretty jarring. Why the hell was this place built all the way down here? It could honestly be mistaken for a basement. Add that with the fact that zombies seem to be more mysteriously drawn to this location for whatever reason, and you have yourself a very scary room indeed. It's true, Resident Evil 3 really amps up the action, but with all that adrenaline in your veins, well, in your controller, you're going to miss out on extremely off-putting details found down here. In the admin room, there is a wall filled, that's right, a wall filled with missing persons posters. It's kind of hard to make out, but in short, there is no specific targeting or age group that Umbrella focuses on. Everyone is on their hit list for experimenting. The posters found down here detail a horrible fact and reality within the RE universe. Many of these poor victims were told to rinse off their hands and stay healthy, but as we all know, their fates were sealed. The illustrations are also just creepy as fuck. I mean, what's creepier than things that are supposedly innocent, like this Finger family? Just look at those faces. A lone teddy bear sits on a wheelchair. Like, who the hell put this here with all the obvious signs of bloody chaos that happened? I'd actually think that this place was haunted with the randomly falling zombie corpse that drops seemingly out of nowhere. And this corpse in particular is missing most of its head for some reason. There's no denying that a hospital is a commonly gruesome area, but this is taken to an extreme in RE3's hospital. This next entry may explain just what happened to the patients down here. If you want to peek at Umbrella's real dirty business, an autopsy room is a great place to start. Thankfully, nothing evil is going to jump at you and try to tear you apart here. That's not the danger. The danger here is the amount of insane goosebumps you'll receive when exploring this place. The large bloodstain on the floor is common for a game like this, but something odd is laid out on a surgical bed. Investigate, and it is surely some decomposing mesh of human body parts. It really makes you think about what horrors were done in the dark, who the victims even were, and it's all thanks to Umbrella's secrecy. I guess the only nice thing here is the catchy little Windows 95 computer sounds, but that's really about it. The worst is yet to come. Just behind the computer, about half a dozen frozen corpses that contain God knows what kind of virus cocktails are hung up like something you'd find at a butcher. The haunting gaze of the first body bag is unsettling enough, but the fact that the only thing you can hear are your own footsteps is beyond scary. It's a truly unnerving amount of silence. It's what makes this place pretty much 100% avoid at all costs. Unfortunately, evil doesn't really die out in these games, it just evolves. The molded laboratory found in Resident Evil 7's Not a Hero DLC is a perfect example of that. It's pretty much abandoned by the time you reach it, and for a pretty good reason. A few gruesome pictures can be used for evidence of just why this place has been left in disarray. And these are extremely unsettling pics of experiments gone wrong or symptoms of a molded infection. The testing chamber only reveals the silhouettes of the gruesome white molded as they stand there with, well, not a lot to do. The bloodied up handprints on the glass shows that their job is done. Enter the chamber and they will of course try to attack you. I'm hoping you're equipped with those helpful ramrod bullets. Take them down and yet another molded appears out of nowhere to spook the, well, molded out of you. The dolls of Evelyn and Mia can be found here, as if we needed a poltergeist-like angle to the already scary shit that's happened. This place is just soaked with blood and bloodied up rags. I don't think the molded transformation is a very comfortable one. I mean, it looks like one of the most painful in the series. Investigate the lab further, and there are even more haunting pictures up for display, in case you wanted to be even more creeped out. A lab with monsters is always going to be creepy. But the fact that there's monsters that jump at you out of nowhere ups the horror in many ways. It all leads to that rat-like J Station lookalike. In fact, he adds to the place's scare factor, being able to see him unknowingly work out his psychotic plans. Good riddance, Lucas.
Lucas!
RE games are known for being able to explore previously hidden or locked away areas, but these places are secret for a reason. They're usually deadly, making the bridge to the Dimitrescu castle operational once again. With the well wheel now in your inventory, will allow you to explore a secret chamber. A ladder pops up instead of treasure. Surely not a bad sign, right? Wrong. Very wrong. As you make your way down the ladder, a sort of death trap puzzle reveals itself. Giant wooden pillars with very sharp looking spikes are inches from your head. In the distance, a treasure chest. How many of you would actually stay in this place for longer than a few minutes? Let me know in the comments. I'd say this place is completely empty, but you can actually hear the chains rattle every now and then, which is known to be a bad omen. Make your way up the spiked pillars, and you'll find the remains of someone. They're pretty much bone, so this person has been down here for a while. Knowing that this is connected to the demonic torture methods of Lady D, I have no doubts that this was some poor maiden forced to solve the spike trap puzzle. It may seem like a small enclosed space, but if you take a couple of shots down this barred up section, you can see how vast the cave system is. Thankfully, nothing horrible can be seen down here, alive anyway. The puzzle itself is pretty easy, you just have to pound 2 green buttons and you're set. Upon reaching the prize room, another bag of bones can be found right next to the torture devices. Spiked collars, you name it. That's right, as soon as you're making your exits, all of the traps will automatically reset, causing a mini Ethan Winters panic attack. It would be cruel if a jump scare was placed here, right? This place just reeks of haunted maiden ghosts. God knows what this place was actually used for, or why it was even built. Ramon Salazar looks like a teddy bear, but oh man, is he brutal. Especially to those who backstab or betray the Salazar bloodline. They get the worst of the worst, the spike pit. Don't be fooled by the calming sounds of the waterfall. Look a little closer and you'll see the bodies of various Illuminato cultists, impaled by giant spikes. Their faces are still left with their last emotion, which, I don't know about you guys, but it looked like a pretty painful death. It's crazy to think about these thoughtless followers getting a mind of their own and betraying such a violent man like Salazar, but when there's a will, there's always a way. I think the saddest view down here is that of the cultist who was somehow able to unspike himself and crawled towards the ladder, only to die next to it. That's some brutal stuff. Now we all know why RE2's interrogation room is one of the most memorably scary rooms in the entire series. Here's a little reminder. But outside of the giant jump scare from the original, the context of this particular room will give you the creeps. Brian Irons was a gigantic piece of mold and was known to kidnap, blackmail, and extort his victims. That's right, the Raccoon City Police Department was ripe with corruption, and a freaking serial killer was running the show. The interrogation room is like an oxymoron, given how corrupt the RCPD was. Justice was never served. And if you look the parts, aka tall, blonde, which was Irons' fetish, you disappear in no time. The interrogation room must have been where this disgusting creep searched out his victims on the other side of the one-way mirror. That makes this a spooky room indeed, and you can't go wrong with a liquor jump scare. Well, thank you so much for checking out this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you enjoy Resident Evil playthroughs and horror game playthroughs, check out the second channel, link will be in the description. I would really appreciate that. Which of these 10 rooms would you spend the most time in? Which do you think you would survive in? Let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more horror lore, lists, and mysteries. Have an awesome rest of your day, and as always, stay single.